What is going on, y'all? Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com. Today I've got my lovely wife, Crystal, on the podcast, and we're going to be doing a little deep dive on the first trimester for our baby-to-be. We're going to be doing similar to what we did with Rigel, where we'll do a podcast with every trimester. This one's all about trimester number 1. So we talk about some of the details, some of the things that have been different from this one versus the first one, and what our plan is going forward. So hopefully y'all enjoy, and let's roll the intro and dive in. And we are live, babe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Chip titled this file. What'd you title it, Chip?
Crystal B2T1.
B2T1. Can you figure that out?
Nope.
Crystal, baby 2, trimester 1.
That makes sense.
So we're doing a little deep dive on trimester numero uno with this podcast. We did the same thing with Rigel's pregnancy. Mm-hmm. We figured we'd do the same thing with the second kiddo because you got a nice little baby bump rock in there. So we're going to talk about first trimester. We're going to do a second and third trimester and probably like a final recap of it all. So we got a few more episodes in this series, but people have shown interest around your pregnancy, what we're doing nutritionally speaking, all that good stuff. So I'm going to let you just take it away, babe. How you doing?
I'm good. I asked Robert if he had questions, and he said no, or had anything you wanted to go over, and he said no. So he's flying by the seat of his pants. I have a little list,
Rock
but
on.
I feel like we should just talk, and then we'll see what we hit.
Well, how has this pregnancy felt different thus far? I mean, you're how many weeks now? 18, 19? 18?
Yeah, in there. Mm-hmm.
So first trimester is technically from when to when?
Everyone thinks it's till you're 12 weeks, but it's actually until you're 14 weeks.
14 weeks. So don't talk about anything after 14 weeks
Correct.
yet.
Yes.
We'll save that for round 2.
Yes.
We're a little late in filming this one.
Yep.
But as far as the first 14 weeks is concerned, we did one podcast talking about the fact that you were pregnant, right?
Yep.
So
It's like a year in review plus having a baby.
So let's talk a little bit about what's been different thus far. Not even necessarily different, just what have you noticed thus far in being pregnant?
Well, everything's been different.
Everything's been different from the first one.
Yep.
Such as nutrition's the same, kind of similar.
Yes. Yeah, everything's different. Even though like my nutrition as far as like what I let myself have and don't have is the same, but like things that I crave is different. It's not even crave. Like I don't have really cravings. I have things that I can eat that my body will allow me to eat. There's things that my body will not allow me to eat. And I was way more sick with this one. And I already even have like a little bit more aches and pains with this one, which is it's just so interesting.
So we found out that you were pregnant what day?
I don't remember the day. I was 4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay. And we were trying, so it wasn't like an accidental pregnancy or anything. So you've been taking prenatals pretty much from the get-go.
Since before Rigel, yeah. There was a couple months where I was kind of lazy with it, but for the most part, I've been taking it since way before I even got pregnant with Rigel.
And what has been different? I mean, let's just talk about your macro goals. Like, what were you going into the pregnancy with the intention of consuming?
I didn't really have an intention. I figured it would be somewhere around where I was with Rigel. I don't remember the first trimester. I think the whole pregnancy I was somewhere between 2,700 and 3,000. I think it was like 2,700 and 3,200
with Rigel.
Calories. Yeah, with Rigel. And I knew that this first trimester can be a little tricky.
Because you only had like an aversion to food for like 2 weeks, I think, with Rigel.
I think it was 6 weeks to 10 weeks. And then by 11 weeks, I was fine again. So it was like 4 weeks altogether.
And that's not been the case this go around.
No. I was sick until I was 16 weeks with this one. And it was
sick until 16.
Way worse.
So people
it was way worse.
hear morning sickness. What does that mean for you?
For me, it was just like constant nausea. There was a couple weeks there, I think it was like 3 weeks, where I was like, I'm not going to make it. Like, I felt like I was so sick. I was throwing up. I had headaches. I just had no energy, and I still had to mom. I had to like be a mom to Rigel still. And so I was just like completely drained. I would take a nap when Rigel was napping. Like our house got to a point where it was pretty messy. Robert really had to help me out there for a while because I just like could not keep up on the daily things. Like it would just took everything in me to just do like a load of dishes, which is crazy because I was not like that with Rigel. Like I was hardly sick with Rigel. And this one I was, phew, I didn't think I was going to make it out of that, but I did.
And you weren't eating near as much food either because you couldn't keep it down.
Yeah, and like certain things, like just making it would make me sick, would make me like throw up, or I only threw up a handful of times, but I gagged at so many things. And yeah, it was really interesting. And I, like I said, I was like, I'm not glad I had to go through that, but I also feel like it made it more relatable to people because people, when I was pregnant with Rigel, I was like, I really wasn't that sick, so I can't really like get along with this, like, I need all the carbs, or I just got to eat something or whatever, because I really wasn't that sick. This one, very different.
But you haven't eaten all the carbs.
I have not, no.
What do you think your average intake has been throughout the first trimester? Because if you were averaging 28 to 3,200 with Rigel,
I don't think I did that in my first trimester with Rigel because I still was sick, but I was eating a lot more than I did with this one. I don't even know. I'd say probably 1,300 to 15.
Like half the calories.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
No. But it's like you're kind of in survival mode, and in my thoughts, the baby's going to get what it needs because it's going to take it from my body. And that might mean I'm a little bit more deficient in things, but I've been taking prenatals forever. I have done mineral testing, and everything looked great. I've had a really great nutrient-dense diet before, and so I knew going in, like I was already setting myself up for success, and that a few weeks or a couple months was not going to screw me over or the baby over because I already had my body fueled with all of this stuff.
And we waited, 2.5 years before getting pregnant again. And a lot of people, like when they get pregnant back to back, your body hasn't replenished all the nutrients it needs in order to be a good candidate for having another baby anyways.
Yeah.
So that's having, 2.5 years between pregnancies. I mean, you've been totally
from birth
replenished.
to conception, it was like almost 2.5 years.
Yeah. And I think, Kate Shanahan wrote a really good book on that, deep nutrition, and she was saying like the optimal time is roughly 3 years from birth to birth, or what was it?
I think it was probably birth to conception, but I don't want to wait that long.
Yeah. But I feel like we covered all of our bases in that regard for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what have you been able to consume with you having the nausea and aversions to food and only consuming 1,300 calories?
Yeah, it was really weird. There for a while, it was like different foods. Like the things that I could eat with Rigel, I kind of like stocked up on a little bit, and then I couldn't eat them. And then
Like case in point being what?
Like I got some of like the freeze-dried like steak bites and meatballs and stuff. Couldn't eat that this time.
I've been eating them for you.
Yeah. I what else did I have? I can't remember.
I feel like you ate a lot more pickled food too, like pickles.
No,
and stuff.
that was more towards the end of my pregnancy.
With Roger, yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, this time you mean?
Yeah, you're not really eating much of that now, it seems.
Oh yeah, I had like a lot of like lemon things, like lemon flavored like drinks and stuff. And
I don't think you're doing as many shakes either.
tart. No, I'm not. That's the weird thing is like I am obsessed with shakes, like pregnant or not. Like I'm obsessed with shakes, and I haven't even been able to really eat those. It's just so weird. Everything's so different. But some of the things that I did make was pancakes. I made keto pancakes with eggs, protein powder, coconut flour, and cheese.
Our waffle maker bit the dust though.
Yeah, our waffle maker. That's one thing that was the same with Rigel and this one is that I really wanted waffles because we had a waffle maker. So I would make chaffles. But this time I just ended up making pancakes because our waffle maker broke and I didn't want to buy a new one.
So probably the same macro distribution, just much fewer calories as last time.
Yeah.
Obviously still keto, no issues there.
Keto pizza was another thing that I could eat a lot of. Like I ate that almost every day.
Yeah, but not so
Keto
much
pizza.
now.
Yeah. No.
You've been eating a lot of chicken now, though.
Yes. And that was another thing. It was like as soon as I could fathom eating chicken, I went out, I got myself a whole bunch of chicken, and like I would eat a whole package of chicken, which is, I don't know, a pound and a half.
Breaded with that porking good powder, which is thebomb.com.
Yeah. So like I would take the whole package and then I'd cut it up into just strips and I'd dip it in an egg batter and then the porking goods, pork panko, and I dip it in there and fry it. Oh, it was so good. And then I would just dip it in like that Primal Kitchen ketchup and I ate the whole thing. And it was like that was a first realization that like I might have a little bit of an appetite back. And it was so good. And I was like, man, all the protein right now. But it was also like fried and had the pork panko, so it had like plenty of fat in there too. So
what's your training been like between the 2 trimesters? With Rigel first trimester, this first trimester?
Okay, so I worked out throughout both. I never didn't work out. I think when I was working out with Rigel, I was already working out more days. I think at that point I was working out 5 or 6 days. And this time, before I even got pregnant, I was working out more like 4. So that stayed consistent. I was pretty sick. I had my friend Blake and I would work out together. And there was a couple times where I was like, if I pass out, like you need to call Robert. I literally had to say that to her because I'm like, I might pass out today. And so I would just kind of like lay on the floor and just like chill a little bit. And then I'd get back to it. She's like, you're like busting through this right now. Like I would have been done. Like I would have just called it. But Greg had like a little fan in his office and I would just take it in the gym with me and just like keep the fan on me while I was doing my workout or like between my sets and stuff. So last time you and I adjusted our workouts from the morning to the afternoon or like later morning. And I couldn't do this time because I needed Robert to be able to watch Rigel so that I could work out. So I was still going at the butt crack of dawn and doing my workouts because I didn't really have another time. Otherwise, I probably would have been like, man, later in the day would have been so much better for me.
Yeah, I feel like workouts have been crazy in general right now because for a while there, I was staying at the house because I preferred working out early. So I stopped doing that. Chip and I were working out at like 6 in the morning and then stopped doing that so that I could work out later so that I could stay at home and watch Rigel while he slept and you would go at 5 in the morning with Blake. Mm-hmm. And then we decided that wasn't going to work out. So I started going in the morning again, but we moved half of our gym equipment to the house, cleaned out the garage, built a home gym for you at the garage, and you would work out in the morning before Rigel woke up while I worked out in the morning. So we're both training at the same time. But now he's been waking up a lot, so now you're going to start working out while he naps in the afternoon.
Because like in the morning, he's kind of like, it's like a lighter sleep. And so he'll wake up and I need him to sleep longer. Like he needs to go back to sleep and he will if I go like put him back to sleep, but it takes me a little bit of time. So to break up my workout and go do that, it's awful. And so, but his naps, he's usually just out. So I think it's just going to be better if I do it while he naps. And it's kind of unfortunate for me because I like to get my workout done earlier in the day, be able to take a shower while he naps and like clean the house and get everything else done during his nap time. But I'm going to have to flip those and just do all my other stuff in the morning. And then while he naps,
Do you feel like your recovery was hindered at all from the training because you were consuming half the calories you were previously?
There was a point where I was like, what do I do here? I kind of felt like, one, I'm not eating enough for just my body, and I'm building another body, and then I'm just not eating enough, and I'm also working out. And I was keeping up with my same weights for a long time. I think there was like 1 or 2 weeks where I was like, you know what? I'm not like that. At that point, I was just like, I think I'm doing too much. Like I am feeling like I just need to stick to the same weight right now. And I felt really good about that because it's still heavy, But it was just like, I just need to chill. I don't need to be like trying to get PRs and like going up in weight every week and things like that. So I kind of found like my happy medium and been kind of just sticking to that. And
you feel like you've lost any strength now that you're eating more? Or do you feel like you're pretty much able to maintain your baseline?
Yeah, I feel like I've been able to pretty much maintain my baseline. I feel like it's a little bit skewed because I started feeling good as soon as I went to California to visit my family, and I just got back, and that's really when I started feeling better, when I started being able to eat a little bit more. So I think I'll be able to tell better like going into this week and next week how my strength is actually doing. But I feel really good. So I feel like it's gonna keep getting better.
Because you're now eating more than 2,500 calories consistently.
Yes, I am. I'm trying to track now. So like during my first trimester, I wasn't really like tracking. There was a couple days where I was like, let me just see how much I'm getting in. But now I can track what I'm eating. And so I'm trying to track the next few days just to like see where I'm at, see how my like fullness level is, where can I increase things. But yeah, just that. Mm-hmm.
So if we push the pause on this podcast and then walked into the gym and ripped right now, what are you going to be able to pull on deadlift, push on bench press, and squat?
I don't know. Like single, 1 rep?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't do 1 rep max because I don't think that's a good thing to do when you're pregnant. But if I had to guess, I'd say bench is probably 155, 165. Squats, I can't remember what I did most recently. Maybe squats have been like not so great lately, so I'd say like maybe 225, 235. And deadlift, I could probably get 275, maybe 285. I don't know.
That's still pretty good though.
I'm taking wild guesses right now.
Can you bench that much, Jim?
She may have me on squats, actually. I can bench and deadlift.
So she's got you on squats?
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
Does it make you feel bad that a pregnant woman's squatting more than you?
Well, you know what? I haven't done it.
Yeah, we need to, because like I want you to be able to work out, and the biggest hurdle with this whole pregnancy is that we have Rigel, and like that just throws a wrench in every plan that we've ever made. Yeah, which is a very good wrench, but it's a wrench nonetheless. Yeah. So like timing is never consistent, and I do not do well with inconsistent timing.
I know, yeah.
So we got to get that done. I think having the gym at the house is going to be good because you got all the necessities there. You got an adjustable bench, dumbbells, squat rack.
I will say too, like there are a few things that I am changing about my workouts. After I had Rigel, I had a C-section with Rigel, and just because you have a C-section does not mean you don't need to see a pelvic floor therapist. I'm very pro pelvic floor therapy for anyone who's ever carried a baby. But I went and talked to her, and honestly, everything with my pelvic floor is actually pretty great. But there was like a couple of weak points, like in my glutes and things like that can actually help me going forward. I think my abs didn't recover as well as it could have. Also, because of a C-section, I didn't really get my full like 360 breathing back very well in my ribs. I had a little bit of rib flare. Like there was like definitely things that like just didn't heal the way I wanted it to. But I think I didn't really know how to fix those things along the journey. So she gave me a lot of things to do before I got pregnant, during the first 20 weeks of my pregnancy. And then I'm going to go back and see her again, and we're going to go over more exercises that I can do and evaluate where I am now. So there are some things like on leg day, I'm doing a little bit more legs right now, but it's not like I'm going in and doing all the squats. It's like I am doing a day of squats. I am doing a day of deadlifts. I am doing a day of bench, and all of those things. But I'm also having areas where I'm like focusing more on because I'm pregnant again and I want to heal better after this one. We don't know how many kids we want. So I just want to like treat my body well after this one. And if it goes well with this one and we choose to have more, then like I'll know exactly how to treat my body and how to train and how not to train. Because I think with Rigel, like I just kept going with the same thing, which I don't think was bad. But I think after postpartum is the point where I could have done additional things that I didn't do. And now, like, looking back, I'm like, wow, that could have been, like, really helpful. So I'm very excited for this one. Hopefully things will just sit a little better.
So regarding this one, let's talk a little bit about nuts and bolts as far as what we're going to do. A lot of people are under the assumption that after a C-section, you have to continue to have C-sections, and we are not going that route as of now. The plan is to do a VBAC. And you listen to birth podcasts like I listen to business podcasts.
Yeah.
So like
I've been obsessed with birth for like a long time. So even years before I had Rigel, like I loved learning about all things birth. I would love to eventually become a doula. Like there's just things that I just love. I love it. I think it's so awesome. I think moms are amazing. I think postpartum is such a interesting, the whole thing is such an interesting to me. And tender time, and I would love to be able to support women through that. But anyways, I am obsessed with listening to podcasts and stuff. So yeah, I haven't really gone like full into detail on a lot of it because we shared a lot of what we wanted to do with Rigel, and at that point, we really wanted a home birth, and everything was looking good for a home birth, and then I got to 42 weeks, and they made me go to the hospital, did an induction, and blah, 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 blah. One intervention led to the next, and I had a C-section. I had a really, really hard time mentally recovering from that. I could still cry. Like, it just, like, it really, like, hits a nerve in me, and I would like it to not go that same way, but I'm really open to whatever happens this time. And but our goal is to work for a VBAC. So VBAC stands for vaginal birth after cesarean. We have a very supportive provider. We're driving a little bit further to visit her, but I'm very excited about it.
Which, real quick on that note, we have switched and we're using Crowd Health.
Yes,
which is actually pretty relevant. So like. You probably know more than this than I. Had the owner of Crowd Health on the podcast, but like we were using the traditional insurance provider, and that covered a lot of the C-section that we had with Rigel. But it's just like traditional insurance providers are a pain in the butt. They're
the only
never
thing
there
we
where
ever
you need
used
them.
it for was the birth.
Yeah, it was just a pain in the butt. Like we're spending a lot of money with the premiums. They don't cover what we want. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, we ended up paying a lot of out of pocket for things that we wanted or providers we wanted that they wouldn't cover and whatever.
Yeah. So we switched to Crowd Health, and they've got like this like super cool crowd funded protocol. And we're kind of in like the smaller niche of that for people that are actually following a ketogenic carnivore low carb diet. Mm-hmm. So you get approved if you pass the fasting insulin test or provide a DEXA scan with good results. And the cool thing about that is the community, who is all a very healthy community relative to the normal society community, they fund it. They've got much lower premiums, and then you have much more transparency as to what is actually getting covered month to month, what your dollars are going towards. And one of their largest funding, segments is pregnancies and births. Yep. So we're using them. They've been super supportive of everything we're doing, which I feel really great about. We got the provider, and our provider is a midwife working in the sanction of a hospital setting. Mm-hmm. They've got backup doctors on staff if need be, but as of right now, she plans on doing all of that. I get to catch the baby. We don't have to do an oral glucose tolerance test. Like we're able to do everything that we want to do.
Yeah, she pretty much. I was kind of crazy. I think we interviewed like 6 providers all together, or I knew of 6 providers that I weeded out that were supposed to be like the best in our area, and I didn't like any of them. The one that I did want, she ended up being on vacation. And so I'm hiring a doula this time. Really regretted not having a doula last time. And so I was like 1,000%, we're paying for the best doula I can get. So we have a doula this time. And she was like, hey, you need to go to this other place. And it's a bit further, but I have a feeling you're going to just like hit it off. So we went, and like literally I could have just gotten in the truck and just bawled my eyes out because she said everything I needed to hear about Rigel's birth, everything that I needed to hear about going into this next one. It's just such a tender subject when you've had something that you've gone through that's just so emotional, or I don't know, just sensitive. And someone can just be like, hey, we don't have to do it this way. We can do it this way. And like, you are in charge of your body, and I'm here to help your body make this happen. And it was just really cool. And she and I are like both on the same page of, hey, if this leads us to a C-section, then that's what's supposed to happen. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to have modern medicine there for me this last time. Halfway grateful, halfway bummed that I had to use it. But a lot more open this time, but definitely like have a plan for this to go the way I would like it to.
Well, a lot of the pushback against having a VBAC is because there's a risk or concern around your uterus rupturing because of the prior C-section. Mm-hmm. But with us having waited the amount of time that we have, we should be good there, right?
So with every pregnancy, even a first-time mom, there is a risk of rupturing. Like, it's just, you just have a risk of rupturing. That's it. There are statistics, and I'm not even going to try to make sure that I'm like on point with these, so like go look it up. But the risk of having a repeat C-section and a VBAC are just about the same as far as rupture rate goes. So I'm not really risking a whole lot more. Like they're about the same. So there's just different things. Like there's certain things that doctors will or will not let you have. Like one doctor said your first child was large, so I wouldn't be surprised if this one's large and makes you have a C-section. And I was like, that's not the answer I want to hear. You have to be hooked up to an epidural. I would really like to have a natural birth. I don't want to be hooked up to an epidural. There's medical reasons why being hooked up to an epidural is not actually fully necessary. I can understand why some people would want to, but to me, that is like a fear, not for me, but for maybe the provider has a little bit of fear of past things that have happened, so on and so forth. So there's like certain things that I really wanted, but that they like some providers say like, hey, because you want to do this VBAC and you're more of a risk, I'm risking things, you're risking things, and so I want you to have this to be extra careful. When really like it's not really being extra careful. It's more of just like I'm afraid, so I'm gonna have you do this thing to make sure it's not as bad. So for me, I am going with the person I think is the most open, the most successful, the most willing to just let my body lead the way. And yeah, so, but yes, rupture is technically the biggest risk, but it's like 1 or 2% more than the average person. So it's really not that high.
What were some other non-negotiable hit list topics that we kind of used to weed out several of the prior providers?
Baby's too big. Wanted me to have be hooked up to an epidural. Wouldn't let me go past 40 weeks. Oh gosh.
They're really weird about that oral glucose tolerance test.
Yes,
too.
one of them was very particular. Like they wanted me to take the glucose test, and I was like, it's not going to happen. And only because I have been keto for so long, I've not had that much sugar in my system that my body would probably respond really terribly. So I would have either had to increase my carbs before that, or I probably just would have honestly failed. And so like this one is going to let me do the CGM just like my last midwife let me do. And it's great. So there was just like certain things that like some providers really wanted me to do. And I just said, it's not a great fit. There was another one that he honestly didn't say anything bad, but it was almost like I could tell he wasn't supportive because he was tolerant, like VBAC tolerant, not VBAC supportive. Because I could just tell, because he was like, we'll just see how it goes. I can't really tell you anything. We're just going to have to see how it goes. And my midwife now is more like, we're going to do this. And we're going to, if we have to change directions, we will do that. But you're going to do this. Like your body was created to do this. And so to me, I'm like, that's what I need to hear. Like, that is someone who's supportive. That's someone who has my back. That's someone who wants the same thing I want, and is going to fight for me to get there too.
What is my list on that hit list you got? Did we cover everything?
Hit list.
Hit list.
Okay. Morning sickness. Oh, prenatals. So we did talk a little bit about that. First trimester, could not take prenatals. Like, could not get them in. I even changed brands. With Rigel, I had always done Naturally Nourished, Allie Miller's line of prenatals, and I am still taking hers, but I'm also incorporated another company called Needed, and they have a powder prenatal. Still could not get that stuff in. I could not get anything in. It was awful. So I just want to relate to anyone out there who's like, I really should be taking my prenatals and I can't even get that in. It's okay. You're going to make it through just fine. Your body's going to be totally fine. And your baby's going to be totally fine. Food aversions, we just already talked about that. I don't think there was really anything else I wanted to say about that. Something that was very different with this one than with Rigel is I spotted almost the entire first trimester. And that was kind of scary. That was very scary for me. I was really unsure, and I was just like, when is this going to stop? What is happening? Why is this going on? And I didn't have a provider picked out because I wanted to get in with that other one. They took forever to get back to me and tell me that she was going to be on vacation. I didn't have this one until I was like 9 or 10 weeks, I think. And it was like, man, I'm waiting around to just find out that everything's okay. And everything is fine. Very common, but it is very nerve-wracking, especially when my first pregnancy, I did not have that. And then this time I had it consistently, and it was not my favorite. I did not like that. But I did want to say that because it feels very, I don't want to say lonely. It feels very, you feel like you're the only one when you're going through something. And you're like, I don't know what to do. And it almost sometimes can feel like people down talk what you're going through because you're the one experiencing it in the moment. And even though they may have experienced it was like, oh yeah, it was nothing. It was no big deal. But you kind of want someone to be like, that is really scary. I totally hear what you're saying. I'm sure everything's fine. But if you need to, like, just go in somewhere and just have them take a look and just make sure that everything's good. Talk to someone. I did end up talking to a friend of ours that's an OB and was like, do I need to go in or am I okay to just keep writing this out? And I'm just really grateful for that relationship because that was not, it was a scary time. Let's see, workouts, finding a provider. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of getting into second trimester stuff here, so I don't want to tease it too much, but you haven't felt this one move nearly as early on as you felt Rigel move either.
Yeah, I felt Rigel at 14 weeks, and it was like, after I felt him for the first time, I felt him consistently. So yeah, that's been another interesting, scary, like makes you just worry a little bit.
We had to pull the Doppler out the other day, make sure we can hear a heartbeat.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
But good, strong, healthy heartbeats and no issues there.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out the sex on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
So that's getting pretty, I mean, we're recording this on January 20th. So not too much longer to go before we figure out if we got a boy or girl coming. What do you think?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but everyone keeps saying it's a girl. Everyone.
I think it's a girl.
Everyone has said it's a girl. Everyone, my brother. My brother is the only one that has said it's a boy. So like I feel like that's tricking my mind into thinking Chip's laughing at you right now.
I think it's a girl.
Everyone keeps saying it's a girl, so I think that's tricking my mind into thinking like, oh, maybe it is a girl. But like I also know that like there's a very high chance that it's a boy. So I have no idea.
This one has been very different pregnancy-wise than Rigel. Yes. So they always say if it's very different, possibly opposite
However,
sex.
I just talked to a friend yesterday, and she's like, my pregnancies could not have been more different, and they were both boys. So,
yeah. Well, we'll find out for sure in a couple more weeks, so be soon. Anything else? Anything else? Parting words, thoughts, wisdom? Nada?
I don't think so. I feel like this was so quick, but I don't feel like there was like a whole lot that I wanted to cover. I feel like that's...
Well, we'll do a follow-up trimester 2 podcast, and then third trimester, and yeah.
I asked if anyone had any additional questions. So let me just see if there's any additional questions. I don't think though. I checked it right before we got on here.
Then we go in this Friday to get another. We're not doing ultrasound.
Just to do like a regular check.
Yeah. So they'll probably do the Doppler again, all that good stuff. So that'll be good. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll know the sex.
Yep.
So be good. Well, I'm excited. It's going to be total chaos with 2 crazies running around, but looking forward to it. Diesel, Rigel,
I'm showing so much faster with this one.
Yeah.
Like,
you can probably tell right now.
Yeah, I'm sure people can. Hello, here I am. But I mean, like, usually people are showing by this point, but I am like big. And I've been big since the beginning. I swore I had twins when I was first pregnant because I was so sick. I was like, there's got to be 2 in there. There's got to be 2 in here. And there was just 1. But, I've just been showing so early. And, like, like there's, like, that early pregnancy, like, I'm just bloated and I look bloated. It was like, I'm bloated, but also there's a baby in here. Like, it was just, like, crazy. And Robert would just look at me and be like, whoa, there's, like, a baby in there. And I'm like, I know. Because with Rigel, it took me forever to show. And with this one, it was just like, man, boom. I think it was like 11 weeks. And I was just like, wha-bam, here I am. And I went to a baby shower yesterday. And people were like, how far along are you? And I was just talking about it. And they're like, you're showing a lot. I was like, I know.
Well, you said something last night. It's like we're pretty much halfway through almost, which is crazy. Because I feel like I am not ready yet. I gotta scramble a little bit, get some things organized.
I feel like the second half is gonna go. I think it's gonna go pretty smoothly because the first half we were just so busy. You were gone a lot. That was another thing is I was like all that sick and everything, and you were still like traveling and doing all the things, and so I was just like momming without you there with me, trying to keep up on everything.
You walked a lot more with Rigel, but I feel like you probably walk just as much now picking up after Rigel.
I know. I went on a lot of hikes, and that, like, I think that's probably going to be one thing that I'm a little bit bummed about because if I hike, I have to put Rigel in the backpack, and I'm like, I don't think I can do both. Like, I don't think I can, like, have this big old thing plus that big heavy thing.
You should get, like, a good stroller or something for him. One of those running
and then
strollers.
I can't go hiking. I have to go on walks.
Get an outdoors off-roading stroller.
There you go.
They make those, don't they?
Yeah. Rigel's, like, he's between 35 and 40 pounds. So, like, that's hefty weight on your back.
Yeah.
And he's not still. Like, he will just move back and forth and, all the things. So, I don't know. I think I will. That is, like, a bummer because, like, even if I do go hiking with him, let him walk, it's just going to be so slow. So, I don't know what I'm going to do because I really enjoyed that, especially at the end of my pregnancy. I really enjoyed hiking. So, I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes.
We'll figure it out. Well, I'm excited. It's going to be good. It's going to be good having another kiddo running around.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of good things coming. I blocked out my whole calendar for like 6 weeks around the tentative due date. So hopefully I won't be traveling and I can just help out wherever possible. Mm-hmm. And
we will have two, like, we could talk about this later, but we do have, like, I have a plan for a little bit better support because I don't think I had very good support last time and, like, my fault. But I didn't have the support I needed. I didn't set myself up for success in that way. We didn't really have a lot of, like, people locally. And it was really hard. I had a hard time with that.
Well, that was also during the middle of COVID.
It was after COVID, but, like, there was still some weirdness and I don't know. There was just a lot going on during that time. And I did not prepare myself for needing as much help. And I also didn't have, like, the birth that I wanted. And there was just a lot of really weird. So I'm really setting myself up for success this time, I think.
Yeah, it'll be good. And also, I don't know if any of y'all do not know, but we've also got another social platform called Live Savage where we do all our family stuff. So that is not necessarily nutrition specific. It is just all the family oriented everythings. So we'll be putting a lot of updates on there. Crystal pretty much runs that for the most part. So live savage for that
Yeah,
one.
sometimes I'm really good at keeping up on it, and other times I am not as good at keeping up on it.
We'll have cute baby pictures or something for sure.
Yes.
Where else can people find you, babe, and follow along?
I am the.lady.savage on Instagram and Team Savage on Facebook. That's pretty much it these days.
Boom chakalaka. You've been eating a lot of bricks throughout the pregnancy.
Yes. I've been downing the Primal Fudge.
Yeah.
So good.
No food aversions to that.
Yeah. I couldn't really in the first trimester a whole bunch, but I've been putting in more lately because I can.
Yeah.
And it's great.
All right, ladies and gents. Well, that's a wrap. We're going to call it there on the first trimester video, but we will be doing another one for trimester numero dos, and we will let y'all know what our sex is. I know what my sex is. But
the baby's sex is.
Yeah, what the baby sex is on that podcast. So it'll be good.
Yep.
Appreciate you, babe. Love you. You're an awesome mom to both Rigel and the baby-to-be, so just keep doing what you're doing. Love you.
Love you too. Back at you.
Back at you, y'all. Take care. Love y'all too. Bye-bye.